No heroics into Sandoval, please.
Cheers, Jeff.
Hey guys, it's James here. Welcome back to another F1 2020 My Team Career Mode video. We are here for Season 2, Episode number 2 at the Bahrain Grand Prix. If you did miss the last episode in Australia, be sure to check that one out. Not only did we reveal the new car, but we also started the season off with a points finish for George Russell at the Australian Grand Prix. Obviously, we need to upgrade the car. We're doing a rear downforce upgrade because the car did snap quite a lot with oversteer, which means that we will need to be using a lot of rear downforce in the future. So having more on the car means we won't have to run such high wings that we normally do, which will be good, especially because we have such a powerful engine. But we're now going to advance time towards qualifying for the Bahrain Grand Prix. So here we are then for qualifying for the Bahrain Grand Prix. As we can see, we're just going to go over and check the setup. Because of how powerful the engine is, I've decided to put on a lot more rear downforce. We've got 8 rear wing downforce and 2 front wing downforce, meaning that hopefully the car won't snap as frequently when we put the power down, and hopefully the car will be good. I'm only going to show you one lap. It's going to be the second lap. Both laps were pretty decent, because we can see there's been a yellow flag up ahead as we head down towards turn 1, and it is Max Verstappen going so slowly. He's got a problem, but instead of getting out of the way, he parks his car on the apex of turn 2, and that means we have to lift off. Normally we're going absolutely flat out through turn 2, but we've lost 2.5 tenths as we blast up the hill towards turn 4. We've lost so much time because Max Verstappen just parked his car on the apex of turn 2. He's got to get a grid penalty for impeding there because he did absolutely nothing to get out of the way. But we are, we're playing catch up basically for the rest of this lap now. We're a full 10th down as we head through turn 9 down towards turn 10, which is one of the trickiest braking zones in Formula 1. So easy to lock up there. We actually take it quite well, and we get a decent exit out towards the 3rd DRS zone around this Bahrain International Circuit. But Max Verstappen has done an absolutely terrible job of getting his car out of the way as we head up towards turn 12, where we got caught on the curb last year and we had a spin on lap 5 of the Grand Prix. We negotiate it safely and we are just under half a tenth down on our previous best as we head towards the long straight down towards the final corner. It's so frustrating because this was a pretty good lap barring that turn 2 shenanigans with Max Verstappen, which is very, very frustrating. It's cost us probably a good finish. We're in 12th at the moment, but other people are going to improve because they weren't impeded on their qualifying laps. Where's it going to put us as we come across the line? 14th. Not a disaster. I mean, it's actually 2 places better than last week, but still, that's not great. As we have a look at the qualifying results, we've been out-qualified by our teammate by 18 hundredths of a second. That is so disappointing because we could easily have qualified in 12th, but still, we are going to be starting from 14th, which isn't ideal, and Guan Yu Zhou rounding off the grid again.
The stage is set for another enthralling race here in the Kingdom of Bahrain. A Ferrari stronghold in years gone by, but will they be able to add to their record today? Before we begin, let's take a quick look at the grid lineup for today's race. Good job yesterday from Valtteri Bottas. The Finn starts from pole position, and it's Lewis Hamilton alongside. Considering the rest of the grid, we have Albon, Verstappen, Sebastian Vettel and Leclerc, Sainz, Ricciardo, Norris and Daniel Kvyat, Stroll, Russell, Esteban Ocon, James, Gasly, Grosjean, Sergio Perez and Kimi Raikkonen. Giovinazzi, Latifi, Joe and Kevin Magnussen fills the last spot on the grid. Which of these talented drivers will come out on top today?
So here we are then for the start of the Bahrain Grand Prix in 14th place. We're just going to go over and check the strategy. We're going to do a 1-stop, but everyone ahead of us except George is going to have to do a 2-stop. But we're going to go to 5 red lights for the start of the Bahrain Grand Prix here in Sakhir. and it is lights out, and away we go. Decent start compared to Esteban Ocon. George Russell has bogged down a bit, so we're going to go side by side with our teammate into the first corner. We switch to the outside as they go 3 wide between Norris, Ricciardo and Stroll comes out on top in that fight as we go side by side with Daniel Kvyat in turn 2, who absolutely leaves us no room, and that means we drop down into 12th position. Chasing after Daniel Kvyat, George Russell has gone down to 14th, so the JNS racing cars have sort of swapped positions. We had a little think about going down the inside of Daniel Kvyat, but we thought better of it as Russell and Perez are scrapping away, but Sergio Perez wins that duel as we're following Daniel Kvyat through the left-right section where Nico Rosberg and Lewis Hamilton had their famous duel back in 2014. We're still trailing Daniel Kvyat. We just got to keep ourselves calm because everyone up ahead of us is going to have to do a 2-stop, but we're doing a 1-stop strategy from mediums onto hards, as is George. So if we can just keep ourselves out of trouble, this will bode very, very well for the rest of the Grand Prix. Still chasing after Daniel Kvyat as we head through the left-hander of turn 11, blasting up the hill towards turn 12. We can't spin like we did last year on that curb. That would be absolutely horrendous. Remember, we had that spin on lap 5 that dropped us all the way down to the back of the field. Chasing after Daniel Kvyat, still just half a second in it as Perez and Russell are still scrapping away. Russell is about 8 tenths behind, so Perez is quite a lot closer to us than he is to George Russell. He is on the soft compound of tyre, so he's going to be very, very quick at the early stages of this Grand Prix, but the soft compound tyre does fade away very, very dramatically after about 6 or 7 laps, which is very, very key to this race because everyone up ahead of us is going to make 2 pit stops, probably onto 2 sets of the medium tyre for them, which is going to be a big disaster as we get a really, really bad exit blasting up the hill towards turn 4. Here comes Perez on the outside with his soft tyres, but we managed to fend him off and we do stay in 12th position. We've just got to keep ahead on ourselves and just got to be very, very sensible with what we do as we're now chasing after Daniel Kvyat on lap 4. His soft tyres must be starting to go off a little bit as we pull to the right hand side. He defends aggressively, but it doesn't matter because down the inside of Kvyat we go into the first corner and we're up into 11th place. What a sensational move that was. He pulled across to the right hand side very aggressively, just checking there was no wing damage, which there wasn't, and we're up into 11th place. Still chasing after now. Daniel Ricciardo is the next target. Again, that Renault car is quite speedy, and also he is on the soft compound tyres. We set a purple first sector there as well because we had the DRS and the slipstream of Kvyat. But on the end of lap 6, as I said, some cars will be pulling into the pit lane. Yes, Daniel Ricciardo is into the pits, as is Lando Norris. So they will have to do a 2-stop strategy. And what this means is if we can get ahead of all of these cars, because they will be held up in traffic behind the slower cars like Guan Yu Zhou, Nicholas Latifi, Kevin Magnussen, all those guys will be doing a 1-stop, but they're going to be held up massively. It's been a yellow flag up ahead as we head through turn 12. Don't want to spin on that curb, and it's Valtteri Bottas, last year's championship winner, is out of the session. He's not had a great start to the season. He picked up 7 points, I think, in Australia because he did a 2-stop that didn't work out for him, and now he's out of this session. So Lewis Hamilton will be looking to pick up the pieces in this Grand Prix because Bottas was in the lead of this Grand Prix. We cut onto the end of lap 9. We're up into 2nd place. Lance Stroll is doing a 1-stop from soft onto hards, so he is going to be our main competitor in this Grand Prix. I said we were the leading 1-stopper, but Lance Stroll is going to take those soft tyres probably to the end of about lap 11 or 12 before he dives onto a set of the hard compound of tyre. So we're just 1.7 seconds behind.
We're approaching the pit window. You'll be on the hards.
Yeah, so we're going to pit in a couple of laps time. So just going to listen to Jeff on the radio occasionally in this race because he's providing us with some useful pit stop information because Lewis Hamilton has made his pit stop onto the soft compounded tyre. I need George Russell to hold him up as much as possible because Hamilton will make another stop in this race. He has to. He's used 2 sets of the soft compounded tyre. So this is going to be very, very crucial for our races. We're chasing after Lance Stroll still. On the end of lap 11, Lance Stroll peels into the pits and we inherit the lead of the Bahrain Grand Prix here.
You are in first position, front of the pack. Stroll is behind you. Your pit window opens next lap. 18 laps to go. We're leading our teammate by 5.7 seconds.
Just had to ask Jeff for a race update there because we were in the lead of the Grand Prix. I mean, how good does that sound? You are in the lead, you're at the front of the pack in a JNS racing car in our second race of Season 2.
You're leading the pack, P1.
And so we're going to do a one-stop.
Confirmed, we'll receive you at the end of this lap.
So we're going to be pitting at the end of lap 13. Look at that, 68% on the rear left tyre. We've taken these mediums right as far as they can possibly go without getting into puncture territory. We're doing really, really well as Hamilton inherits the lead. He's now got past George Russell, so George did a good job of holding up Lewis for me because we could be battling for a win here. Everyone else has been held up a lot in traffic, I think, and a 2.0 second stop from the lads as well, which is excellent. But look at this train. Everyone has been held up massively, and they're going to have to make one more stop. We've made our final pit stop in this Grand Prix as we come out behind Lance Stroll. But on lap 15, we're so close to Lance Stroll. We dive down the inside into the first corner. We're still side by side as we head towards turn 2. Stroll does the better thing. We make a little mistake and sort of cut the corner, but nothing doing. Now we're in the slipstream. Use the DRS, using Rich Mick, using overtake mode. We pull to the right hand side and down the inside of Stroll we go. We got very, very close to him as we pulled to the right hand side, but we are up into the provisional lead of this Grand Prix because we are the lead one-stopper now in this race. That was crucial to get past Lance Stroll as we cut now to the end of lap 16. Going on to lap 17, Daniel Kvyat has strapped on another set of soft tyres. He's going to probably have to pull into the pits. Yes, those soft tyres have gone off a cliff for him, and he's going to be making one more stop in this race. That's another position gain. We're now 5th place on merit. Lewis Hamilton in 5th place. He's now dropped behind us. So technically, we are the lead car in this Grand Prix, which is pretty crazy, really. We are the leading car. Everyone else ahead of us has to make a pit stop. So we are the car that is in front in this race. We cut to the end of lap 17. Lance Stroll still very close behind on his hard compound of tyre. Everyone except Alexander Albon has pitted, I think. So we are going to be in 2nd place at the moment, but still a net P1 on track.
Albon is ahead of you. Gap to car in front is 3.5 seconds. They're on old mediums. Their tyres are 8 laps old. We think they've got one more stop. The time last lap was a 1:30.2. You're falling back by 1/10 a lap.
So Jeff just confirming that Alexander Albon has to do one more stop. I was going to say it'd be very audacious for him to try a one-stop strategy from soft onto mediums. I know Lance Stroll is going from soft onto hards, but that racing point, as we saw last time out in Australia, is very, very kind on its tyres. So on to lap 18. We are in the lead of this Grand Prix, but one Lewis Hamilton is in our slipstream. He's got the DRS. On to lap 20. Hamilton breezes past on his new medium compound tyres. It was fun while we lasted in the lead of this Grand Prix, but now it's all about staying in 2nd place behind the Mercedes. Hopefully Lewis Hamilton's DRS for a little bit could keep us ahead of Lance Stroll. And yes, 1.4 seconds ahead of the racing point with just 7 laps to go. Surely we could hold on to what would be an absolutely famous podium. George doing a good job in 7th place as well. So this would be 24 points for the team if we could hold on to these positions. No one except Lewis Hamilton has been able to make their 2-stop strategy work, whereas we've got to keep these hard tyres in shape for the remaining 6 and a bit laps to go as we round the final corner with a few laps to go. We're doing a really, really good job of keeping Lance Stroll at bay. On to lap 27 now. Hamilton is totally out of touch. He's 8.5 seconds ahead, but that was inevitable. The gap to Lance Stroll has stayed at about 1.4, 1.5 seconds, and this is really, really key. We can't let him get into our DRS, because if he gets into our DRS, that'll just sort of reel him in closer and closer to us. But we are doing a good job for now of keeping ourselves in 2nd place. We've got to keep going with just 2.5 laps to go in this Grand Prix. Got onto the final lap. Look, Stroll has got the DRS. He's 4 tenths behind, but there's no real overtaking opportunities except down into the final corner now for Lance Stroll. As we head up towards turn 12 for the final time. Well, we had that spin last year. No such thing this year. As we head to the penultimate corner, Lance Stroll has got one more opportunity. He's half a second back. We up into Rich Mix. We're using all of our energy to keep him behind. Lewis Hamilton wins the Bahrain Grand Prix. That was inevitable. But the one-stopping JNS racing car is going to finish in 2nd place. As the fireworks go off, we're going to come home and finish in 2nd place here in Sakhir.
Top job, my friend, top job. I was a bit worried about this one at the start of the weekend, but you've pulled through. Thank you.
And I can see the drivers starting to approach the podium for the victory celebrations. A real team victory today. Everybody played their part. Congratulations then to Mercedes, your race winners today. And after this round of the World Championship, here's how things look in the Drivers' Table. Lewis Hamilton takes the lead of the Drivers' Championship. Some amazing talent out on the track today. But Anthony, who would you pick as your driver of the day?
Well, you can't fault anything that Sergio Perez did out on the track today. He drove flawlessly, making him an easy pick.
Let's move on to the constructors. Mercedes moved to the top of the table. Another team that will be satisfied with this Grand Prix is Alfa Romeo, whose good result moves them further up the championship. After an event like that, who knows what the sport has in store for us next time? Be sure to join us again as we continue to bring you the latest excitement in Formula One.
So that was the Bahrain Grand Prix. We came home in second place and picked up 18 points for the team, which is our best result ever. Obviously, that podium in Abu Dhabi was our previous best result. So that's actually 2 podiums in 3 races for us as well, which is very, very good. George came home in 7th place to pick up 6 more points, continuing his point scoring run. And this bodes well for future races. Obviously, if we're able to do 1 stops where other teams have to do 2 stops because of the tyres that they start on, this bodes really, really well for the future. And hopefully we can get some more podiums like this as well. But anyway, if you did enjoy this episode, make sure to like the video. Subscribe if you are new around here and you want to see twice weekly Formula One content. I'm still trying to hit 500 subscribers by the time F1 2021 comes out. So any support would be massively appreciated. And I will catch you guys at the Vietnamese Grand Prix next time. Later, guys.